HBO recently renewed The Last of Us for a second season.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on!
Here's everything the fans need to see in Season 2, starting with some thoughts from the creators. Neil Druckmann shared some of his thoughts when news of the renewal came out. The show's executive producer was really happy that the show will continue into a second season at HBO. He added that he was humbled, honored, and overwhelmed because of the news. Neil also wanted to thank both old and new fans for tuning into their retelling of Joel and Ellie's journey. Of course, he couldn't help but mention Craig Mazin and the rest of his incredible cast and crew for the amazing work they've done on the series. Neil is not only the writer, but also the creative director for the original game. So seeing the adaptation gain this much success is definitely a huge deal for him. He's not deciding to slow down anytime soon either. Neil is prepared to tackle the second season with pleasure, and excited for the things to come. Craig also shared a few words at the occasion. He stated that he was grateful to the millions of people that tuned in to see their journey. It's because of the audience that they were given a chance to continue telling this story, and Mazin made sure to make that clear. He stated that he was happy with his partnership with HBO as well.
But also, Neil just loved the adaptation process. He wasn't scared. He wasn't precious. Sometimes I had to argue with him about doing things exactly the same because I come at it from the fan point of view.
With the creators' thoughts out of the way, the next big thing I can't help but bring out is the story that the second season will cover. It's very likely that the story of the second game will be divided into 2 seasons because of how big it is. The second The Last of Us game is a lot more massive than the first one. While the entire first game will be covered in the first season, it's difficult to imagine the second game will fit into just Season 2. Because of this, it's very likely that fans will only get to see half of the game's story told in the second season, and the remaining will be covered in a potential third. This means that there's definitely years worth of The Last of Us content coming our way. As far as the plot is concerned, it's possible that some details of it may get changed, but the writers have already confirmed that they will mostly follow the story of the second game. For fans who have played the game, you'll know that the second game is all about dealing with loss and getting revenge.
I have to finish it. We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
It's a much darker and more depressing storyline, and I'm sure it'll crush everyone when we do get to see it adapted. There's also a significant time jump between the first game and the second one. About 5 years pass between the 2 games, and it's possible that the series will take the time to flesh out what happened during that time a lot more. This could help to give audiences more time to spend with Joel in the second season as well. Because as you may know, fans are concerned about the lack of Joel in the second season. Part of why the first game, and by extension the first season of TLOU, has been so good is the relationship between Joel and Ellie.
How'd you get that scar on your head? What, is it something lame? Like you fell down the stairs or something?
I didn't fall down any stairs.
Okay, so what then?
Someone shot at me and missed.
See, that's cool. Shoot back?
Seeing the two cross a zombie-infested America as their bond grows more and more is what made this series so magical. The second game doesn't have this, because Joel is rather unceremoniously taken out of the narrative pretty early on. This is a major concern that many fans had for the plot of the second season, and most people were hoping the series would just stop after 1 season because of it. While it seems that the writers are remaining committed to the plot points of the second game, they may still give us some more time to spend with Pedro's Joel when Season 2 rolls around.
Didn't feel like it at the time. Get shoved into a middle seat, pay $12 for a sandwich.
Dude, you got to go up in the sky.
By seeing what happens in the 5-year gap, or even adding some details to the early parts of the second game, the writers might make saying farewell to Joel a little bit less painful. Even despite these attempts though, the second season, much like the sequel to the first game, is likely going to be much more controversial. Not everyone was pleased with the narrative choices of the game, and considering the show is going to be going in a similar direction, it just means that the show will have to do a lot of work to get fans excited. One of the big reasons behind this is the additional focus on the new character, Abby.
You're a good person. You don't know me. I know enough.
And fans think that she's already been cast. Recently, Neil followed an actress on Instagram that looks suspiciously a lot like Abby from the video games. I'm talking about Shannon Barry, of course. Her biggest role so far has been in The Dot in the Wilds.
But for those who go rogue, well, it ain't all that bad. If you're rolling without a crowd, it means you're not on anyone's radar. Being alone means being invisible.
an Amazon show that only lasted for about 2 seasons before getting cancelled. The biggest thing that Shannon has going for her is the fact that she looks a lot like Abby. Ever since it came out that Neil followed her, fans have been going wild thinking that she indeed may be the one to play the role of Abby. But it's important to keep in mind that they don't usually cast people based on their looks. Even Bella didn't exactly look a lot like Ellie, which is one of the issues that fans raised when she was cast in the role.
You ever play this one? I had a friend who knew everything about this game. There's this one character named Melina who takes off her mask and she has monster teeth and then she swallows you whole and barfs out your bones.
But it's clear from her performance that she very much captures the essence of Ellie in the video games.
Dashed? Why do you have stuff stashed here?
You ask a lot of goddamn questions.
Yes, I do.
So it all comes down to the actor's performance, and so far, it's not clear if Shannon will be able to act with the ferocity required to play Abby. That said, she's definitely the right age, but will definitely need to get really jacked up if she does end up getting cast. Speaking of the cast, there are going to be some new actors joining it in Season 2. While the second season might make fans say goodbye to some characters early on, some new ones are going to be taking their place. I already discussed the potential actress for Abby earlier, but she's not the only new character joining Season 2. Season 2 will also introduce us to Dina and her boyfriend Jesse. It's still too early to discuss just who's going to be cast to play these characters.
She had a rough night. Barely could get her to keep water down.
You should have woken me up.
But if I had to guess, their voice actors may actually be a good fit. Shannon Woodard, who lent her voice for Dina, actually looks a lot like the character in real life. It'd be a great way to get the character to resemble the in-game counterpart. In fact, even Stephen Chang could reprise his role as Jesse. He's definitely done a few roles as an actor before, so this wouldn't be too much of a difference for him. But even with the perfect cast, it's possible that the second season won't do as well. And that's mostly because of how controversial the storyline is. There are some pretty controversial scenes in The Last of Us 2. And the problem is that these are definitely going to be included because they're the crux of the entire storyline. Removing them may not be possible. Meaning that fans who weren't so pleased with the storyline of the second game will have to sit through it again in the form of a TV show. While Craig and Neil may be able to make it feel a lot less painful compared to the video games, I highly doubt that the changes will be significant enough to make people change their opinions too much. So could this mean that Season 2 of The Last of Us is set up to fail? Anyway, let me know what you thought about all these details that fans needed to know for the show's second season. See you in the next one.